You're listening to episode number 27 of the Wellness Real Estate Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about leveraging networks, and I'm so excited for you to meet today's guest, Joseph Haecker. He owns 24 tech companies, a media broadcast company, a nonprofit, and he's COO of an international trade association. It's safe to say he's a serial entrepreneur. With less than 1,200 Facebook followers in 2017, Joseph Haecker went live for the first time with the topic, F the trends. And during his rant, he had 2,200 people watching live and then 30,000 video views within 24 hours. He had sponsors reaching out to him because of this, and so he created a podcast. And a year later, his 1-hour weekly show cleared 3.2 million views, and he earned 180,000 in sponsorship revenue. In 2021, he started a tech company called JoinIN Crowd, which is a digital business card platform. In less than 2 years, he's grown it to a $2.2 million company in annual recurring revenue. And so how has he been able to grow his following and grow his businesses so large so fast? He says by leveraging networks. Joseph calls it the Jimmy Fallon Affect and explains how by focusing on the guest and leveraging their networks, you can reach millions of people and curate your message. So if you're a real estate agent and you want to grow your reach, you must tune in to today's episode. Let's grow. Welcome to the Real Estate Marketing Podcast, where we explore a unique strategy no one is talking about that will enable you to engage more people with authentic conversations about your business more often. And it's called Wellness Real Estate. Not sure what that is or how it can help you as an agent? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. In fact, Wellness Real Estate is growing so rapidly that it is projected to be nearly $870 billion by 2027. I'm Sheila Alston, and I'm your host. I'm also the founder of Healthy Home Media, where I help agents all over the country leverage this new trend in the industry to spark new conversations that will get people to listen to you and notice your brand. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels without any leads or sales to show for it, then stay tuned. I guarantee this podcast is not like any you've heard before. Welcome to the Wellness Real Estate Podcast. Okay, I am so excited to have Joseph Haecker here on the show today, and we are going to be talking about leveraging networks. So, Joseph, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, there's so much about you that I want to learn. I feel like I could have you on for several different episodes here. So today we're just going to talk about networking, and I think the agents who are listening, they already have their network of professionals that they deal with for a transaction. But a wellness focused agent, I really am trying to encourage them to branch out their network and meet new people, meet healthy home professionals, meet people that can help their clients in a different way. And so I just wanted to get your expertise on different ideas on how to leverage that network and how to make the most of it to grow their business.
Yeah, so I love leveraging networks. I guess it's been a couple of Thanksgivings ago. I was driving with my mom, and I kind of cleared the air on things. I was like, "Mom, do you remember how you used to ask me about my grades in school?" And she had a very logical thought process on this. If I was getting C's on my homework and C's on my test, then I'm going to get a C. If I was getting B's on my homework and B's on my test, I would get a B. And I was like, "Oh, but Mom, what you never realized was I never did it that way. I was connecting the administrators and teachers, and I was networking in elementary school.
Were you?
I was an artist kid, so I was always working on side projects and helping out teachers and helping out the principal and doing all kinds of side projects. So my grades were a gift. I was networking when I was in elementary school.
Wow.
So, uh, I it, and as a really good realtor is a good salesperson, and they probably honed that skill when they were kids too. The networking part of it, you've got to think outside that box. You've really got to think not what's good for me, but what's good for the person and what are they looking for. So it's a win-win-win type of situation. Off air, we were talking about how does a realtor cultivate that wellness space in their community. The reason I love podcasts and the reason I love throwing local events is that inviting a person to be on your podcast is the magic of podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Inviting a person to be on your panel that you're hosting at the local brewery or that local whatever spot or that co-working jam, find a venue, organize an event, invite people in the wellness space, whether this is breath workers, whether this is your local nursery, uh, just people in the wellness space. Ask the people from Sherwin-Williams, whatever. Invite people on to your panel. Inviting people is the magic.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also leveraging their network. So uh, let's say I want to tap into any space. The fifth person on my JoinIN Crowd business podcast was this guy, Curtis Ingalls. I will never forget him. I came from the interior design space. So when he signed up to be on my podcast, Curtis Ingalls owns a business called the Crapper King. He refurbishes used porta potties, which is so gross. But right, who does that? Curtis
Right.
does, and apparently he's the only one in Northern America or North America that will has the stomach for that.
Right.
Um, we had him on the podcast. I was strangely excited to have him on because he was not within my interior design circle. He was outside of my circle, and I had him on. Within 7 days, we had 383 new porta potty related businesses sign up for my digital business card platform. And that was because I went outside of my circle. So,
Right.
for people listening, you're in the real estate space and you want to tap into that wellness space. Invite people to be on your panel. Host a regular thing once a month. You can throw it on Meetup, find a venue, and put 4 chairs in front of a room, and have your panelists invite their people. Because they're going to be on a panel. Bust out your cell phone, put it on a tripod, and hit record. I'll tell you, the invite alone is the magic. The conversation that comes from that afterwards. Have you ever been on a panel discussion at an event?
I haven't been on a panel before. I have the podcast, and I would agree that definitely it's such a great way to network and meet people, just inviting people on your podcast. But no, I haven't been on a panel before.
So here's a little bit of the difference in the nuance.
Mm-hmm.
If I invite you to be on a podcast, that's a great foot in the door. If I were to pick up the phone and call you and try to sell you something, ring, ring, ring. Hey, this is Joseph, and I'm selling internet cable. You're gonna be like, oh, this sounds like a sales call, and you're gonna hang up. If I pick up the phone, ring, ring, ring. Hey, this is Joseph, and I was wondering if you would be interested in being a guest on my podcast where we talk about internet cable. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you might stick around for that.
Yeah.
Here's the difference. On that podcast, it's just you. So you're going to tell people about your podcast that's coming up. Your friends are going to listen to it. They're going to comment on, the thing that you said, and there's that benefit. Here's the benefit of being on a panel. So when you get invited to be on a panel, one, that's a little stressful. You do have to get dressed up to be there. And I've been on tons of panels. I've had people on a panel, and this is what's weird about it. You instantly are associated with the people on the panel. There might be 3 people on that panel, but you are on the stage where everybody else is in the audience. And here's the weird part. You're never going to forget the people that were on the panel with you. You're instantly bonded. You were elevated to being on the stage. And there's this instant bond that happens with the people that are on the stage and on the panel. It's such a weird thing. I've hosted panels where I had one empty seat and I invited the audience members not to speak into a microphone, but come up and sit on the stage. And I'll tell you, people are nervous and they're instantly bonded to the people that are on the panel.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my advice. And I spoke at the Thrive conference and I asked the people audience the same thing. What did you get out of this? They said, I think I need to do more social media. And I was like, really? You didn't see what the real magic was? The magic was that they put this event on. You should be putting on events in your local neighborhood. You should be curating those speakers and inviting them to be on your panel at that local event. Those people will never forget that they were invited onto that panel. They're never going to forget those people that were on that panel with them, and they're never going to forget you. You were the person that brought them together. You were the community builder. That is a huge way for you to, through and through, be the wellness connector in your city. So I highly encourage real estate agents, especially because that is the thing, that is the number one thing, that you're the expert in that neighborhood. This is how you grow your networks. This is how you leverage networks. It's a silly little thing. All you have to do is create a meetup account and create an event and invite people.
Yeah, I love that, because then they don't have to be expensive. You can have any kind of, meetup. It can just be a little gathering, but it's a gathering for your community and for your sphere. And you could have different like themes. Like you could have, if you're a wellness agent, you could have the best, healthy restaurants. You could have the supplier, if you're doing a remodel, what are the components of the remodel that you might need? And you can invite some local contractors or something. You could talk about low VOC paint. You could, I mean, gosh, the list is endless. You could, that's amazing. You could have something different every month.
And you'd be surprised at the places that will let you do this for free. Breweries love this type of stuff. Um, co-working spaces, they love the opportunity that they might get potential renters in their space. So you could call up spots and say, hey, I'd like to put this on monthly. I just did it. I'm going to be doing a monthly event at the VentureX in 5 Points in Denver. Called up Melanie and I said, hey, I'd like to do this thing. And she's like, oh my God, which room do you want?
Oh,
So it's easy to get the spots because people see it as a flow of traffic thing. I'm telling you, inviting those people and curating that, the those people are forever like bonded to you. They got
yeah.
invited.
Well, you have instant friends, right? Because you're supporting their business and you're giving them a place to actually voice what they do and how they help. And everybody, you're building community together. And then, of course, at the end, or even in the beginning, you can say, well, I put this together for this reason. This is how I do my business differently. I'm really trying to bring this community together. So if you ever need help doing this or this or this, go to these people and then come to me, because, I mean, it's brilliant.
Well, and so I just recently had a person say, well, Joe, I don't know the questions to ask, and I'm not an expert in that field. So what would I say? And so I was like, oh, well, it's easy. I was like, throw me a topic. And so I forget what topic they threw me, but well, actually today we kind of rehashed that. This lady said, teachers. I was like, okay. So, hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to have this panel together for you guys. Each of them are a different expert in education and teaching. Could you guys just go down the line and introduce yourself? I didn't say anything smart there. There was no level of expertise on my end. Everybody answers, and I say, hey guys, how did you guys get started? And all I am is a question asker. That's all I am. And I call this the Jimmy Fallon effect. So, you know who Jimmy Fallon is, right? The Tonight Show. And do you know anything about his personal life?
Not really.
No. That guy shows up. I think he lives on the set of the Tonight Show. I know he's married, and I think he has kids. I never see them. I never hear about his political views or any kind of anything. But would you agree that Jimmy Fallon kind of knows everybody?
Yeah, he does. And I know he's funny because he always has such a good time with his guests.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know him to be particularly smart in any subject, but he seems to know all the right people. That is a networker. That's a connector, right? So leading these, it sounds like people who would be like, oh, that seems like I would need to know all these things. No, you don't. You just need to be the person that asks the questions, because each of those people, whether it's breath work or whether it's some sort of natural substitute for building materials, they are experts in their own field. And the people that are listening get to benefit from their knowledge, but you get to be the person that brought it to them. And that's the winning part of it all.
So if you're having this panel and you're having the event, do you recommend that you go down each person and ask one question and like 3 or 4 people or 5 people answer the same question? Or do you give each person more time to talk about their business, or what's the magic way to do it?
So, and this is a technique that I learned a long time ago. And for you guys that don't know me, probably don't know me, in 2007, I went live on Facebook for the first time. The title of the first live that I did, I was sitting in my hotel room the night before. I had just come back from a trip where all my interior design friends were at a design industry only event where they got to see all the latest new products and things that were hitting the market. And Sherwin-Williams announced their color of the year. And so as I was traveling back home, I was watching all my interior design friends talking about the color of the year. And I was like, what? Why are you talking about the color of the year? You just saw things that the public doesn't get to see. They won't see for the next 6 and 12 months. You got the inside scoop. And what you were talking about, where you spent your time, was talking about the same thing anybody could see on Channel 4. Sherwin-Williams was announcing the color of the year. You should be the trend setter. You should be the person dropping those trends. So I was sitting in my hotel. I went on Facebook and I scheduled an event that I would go live the next day. And I called that event, because you have to label the event, you have to give it a title. I titled it F the Trends. And the next morning, from my hotel, with my camera tied to my luggage handle with my speaker wire, I went live and I ranted about that. I said, hey, you should be the trendsetter. You should be the person bringing those thoughts and concepts back to your local neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I had 7 people join me that day. Now, at the time, I had maybe 1,200 followers on Facebook total. It was under 1,200.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2,200 people watching me live. The little number in the top left-hand corner said 2.2K.
Oh my gosh.
30,000 people watched that video within 24 hours. The next day, I got calls from Baker Furniture and Leloy Rugs, both very conservative companies, asking to sponsor my show. By week 6, I brought on my celebrity design co-host, HGTV's The Queen of Bling, Donna Moss. By week 9, I invited the top design industry podcasters onto the show. We cleared 100,000 views in 1 week. By December, so within a couple of months, 3 months, I was getting calls from celebrities and PR people trying to book celebrities on my show. So I've had the Real Housewives of everything. I've had supermodels. I've had Aunt Viv from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. All kinds of celebrities. The first time I had the Property Brothers on, I had them lip sync battle. We
Oh my gosh.
we had 19,000 people watching that live, and over 500,000 people watched that within the week.
Oh my gosh. And
So,
it all it all started with your rant. That's
well, and
incredible.
I say all that to say that nobody tuned in for me. In fact, a little side story. Uh, do you know Tori Spelling from the movie
Mm-hmm.
TV show 90210?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And her dad's Aaron Spelling.
Mm-hmm.
Her brother is Randy Spelling. So I had Randy on the show, and the first guest we had was a Real Housewife of, I think, Atlanta. And so then I bring Randy on, and so I say, hey, and our next guest is Aaron Spelling. He's got a new book coming out, and so I'm super excited to have Aaron on. Aaron, thanks for joining us. And he says, actually, it's Randy. And I was like, oh, sorry about that, Aaron. And the entire show, I called him Aaron, his dad's name. And
Yeah.
at the end of it, I said, so you've got a new book coming out. Can you tell us about the book? Oh my God. Um, he says, well, a lot of people think that growing up in the Spelling home was great, and it was. He's like, I always had people around, and we had everything that I could ever want. But he grew up in the shadow of his dad. So
Mm-hmm.
his book was about dealing with suicide and depression.
Oh, wow.
And I had been calling him Aaron,
Aaron,
his dad's name, the whole time.
the whole time.
Um, Randy's a friend of mine. He's awesome. He's been on several of my podcasts since. Um, immediately after the show, this photographer friend of mine out in Vegas, Steven Spatafort, gives me a call. And he says, Joe, I only tune in to watch you faceplant. He's like, and you never fail. You just screw up people's names all the time. He's like, you're so horrible. You're a horrible host. He's like, but I can't get enough. So I say all that to say, if you're worried about hosting a panel, if you're worried about hosting a podcast, uh, two things. The reason I was able to hit my numbers, and in 2018, I cleared 3.2 million views of my 1 hour a week talk show, and I made $180,000 that year hosting a 1 hour a week talk show from my cell phone.
Wow.
Here's the thing: you don't have to be perfect, and it's all about your guests. Your guests share with their network that they're on your thing. So if you're looking to grow your network and you want to hone in on a niche, then call up those people that are already in that niche and bring them together. Bring them together and put them up front. Put them on your podcast or put them on a stage, on a panel discussion at a bar, at a local brewery, and have them invite their friends. Make them, put them, celebrate them as the expert that they are. That's going to build you this incredible network. Then, and you're going to get in front of people that you wouldn't have gotten in front of on your own.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure you didn't know a lot of those famous people when you had first started your podcast. Somehow your network grew, and by just somebody else knew somebody and said they'd be great on your show, and they connected you with them.
I literally, so I was a kid of the 80s, and in the 90s, I had in my mom's mobile home with my slat wood, that fake wood, mobile home wood wall, I had a Sports Illustrated calendar pinned to the wall with Kathy Ireland on the cover and a redheaded supermodel named Angie Everhart inside of the, I think she was like in the middle, literally in the fold on that calendar. Um, I now am really good friends with Kathy Ireland and very good friends with Angie Everhart.
And how did you meet them? How did that happen?
The show.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. In your wildest dreams, did you ever think that that would happen just because of, and your rant wasn't just a complaining rant. It was uplifting and encouraging other people to be their best selves and to really, talk about something that makes them different and valuable, right? Not
That
just to be a
was
follower.
that's such a nice way for you to say that. No, at the time in the interior design space,
Yeah.
and probably still to this day, there used to be, and he's not a podcaster anymore. There used to be a guy named James Swan, and he was the $1 million decorator. So his show started out with some jazz music, and then he'd open up, welcome fans, this is James Swan, the $1 million decorator, and on today's show, blah blah blah. I opened up with F the trends, let's cut the BS, and I was way more
Real.
real's a good term. I'm
Yeah.
bearded, tattoos, I cuss, and I was encouraging people to buck the trends, and no, I cannonballed into the space. So it was yeah, I
Well,
definitely,
but you were saying things people needed to hear, right?
yeah.
Because I mean, I feel like that's where wellness real estate kind of comes in too, is it's different. Everybody's been saying the same thing I mean, really, if you are a new agent and you say, fine, I'll help you find your dream home, I can help you sell your house for more money in less time. Like, nobody hears that. That's exactly what everybody else is saying. So you've got to say something different. You've got to be different. And so you got to tune into yourself and what can you bring to the table that's different, right? Okay, so what is the advice you would give to an agent who's just trying to differentiate themselves? They're learning maybe a little bit about wellness real estate. They don't know how to get started. They don't know what to do, but they do want to create a new network of different people to help their audience.
Yeah, I mean, like right away tapping into other people's network. So invite people, create that event that happens. I mean, think about this happens all the time at farmers markets. That's somebody puts that on in that city near you, And all of those farmers get highlighted. They love that. They get to sell their wares. I had a friend in North Carolina, and she was in the health and wellness space, and she was like, nobody understands. I pitched this at real estate spots, and she's an interior designer, and she's like, nobody gets it, nobody, And I was like, well, maybe you're trying to sell people who aren't ready. Uh, but I was like, what if you did a farmer's market? What if you were the person that did that? Find an empty lot somewhere that somebody will let you use their parking lot, and go around and find everybody and say, hey, you guys can use this 10 by 10 space. Bring your own easy up, and let's invite some yoga people, and let's invite some, let's bring people together, and you be the person that connects people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so she ended up not doing that, but she had gone around and she went out and met all the people in that space, and and from that she built a network.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just I'm not I don't follow like Tony Robbins or Gary Vee or anything like that, but Gary Vee does talk about being the person that creates the community. That
Mm-hmm.
the community builder is the leader of the future.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can build community, you don't have to. It's a great way to enter into the space. So if you're new, or if you've been in the business for a long time, and you want to leverage other people's networks, just bring all those people together, because um, on that the ninth episode where I invited the top design industry podcasters onto the show, and we cleared 100,000 views. I had one guy, and I'm not going to say his name, but he called me up before, and he was like, Joe, why would I be on the podcast with all these other podcasters? He's like, technically, they're my competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, let's go on, pull up Facebook. And I was like, so Luann Nagaro is going to be on. So, click on Luann. I was like, how many followers does she have? And she was like at 3,800. And I was like, and how many of those are mutual? And he was like, oh, only 23. And I was like, okay, so would you like to get your podcast in front of her other 3,700, and 80 people? And he was like, well, yeah. I was like, okay, let's pull up this other person. How many people do you have in common? And he's like, oh, only these many. I was like, those people are listening to those podcasts. They're already your customer.
Podcast
They're
listeners.
already your person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just not in front of them. So let's bring them all together.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody gets to meet everybody. People are going to gravitate who they want to gravitate to, but they're going to get to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Be the person that puts that. I was the person that put that together.
Mm-hmm.
In 2018, I threw and hosted the unofficial HGTV reunion, and just about a couple. Well, actually, the MC for the event that I just threw in New Orleans last week was a person that showed up. She had been on HGTV, and she showed up for the HGTV reunion. I didn't know her before that.
Yeah.
So I put on this event that HGTV hadn't. I saw a gap, and I brought these people together. And I'll tell you, I've hung with Trish Badette, and I've hung with all these different people because I was that person, and they never forgot that I was the person that brought them together. So
Yeah.
be that person locally. It's such an easy thing to do.
It is. And so really you can just think of for you to think of an event, just think about the guests that have services or products that can be tied together and what kind of person wants to come see that event, right? And then that's
You
the
almost don't
magic.
even have to worry about that part. So
Mm-hmm.
if I was new to the pet food industry, the pet industry,
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, one of the first things that I would do is I would go find a venue and say, hey, can I use your venue, next month, and for the next 10 months, I want to host this regular event. And then I would call up pet store owners and pet influencers and anybody pet related, anybody who was leading groups of people who did pet things. And I would invite 3 or 4 people each month to be on a panel. And I would say, hey, invite, any of your people who would be interested in learning about what you do. And they're going to invite their network. They're going to invite their people because they're going to be sharing about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And instantly I'm that person that brought them all together. I'm the person that merged all those audiences together. And it cost
So
me nothing.
how do you have to market if all those people are bringing their own people and you just have to probably invite the people on your email list? Or do you recommend that if you were going to have this event, you have to like place ads or do something to like invite more people?
Yeah, create an event on Facebook,
Yeah.
share the link with the people that are going to be on, put their picture on that graphic. So
Uh-huh.
no money, no money
Uh-huh.
at all. I create a graphic. If you're not cool at like Photoshop, I like to use PowerPoint. I just ask for pictures of the people. I put their name on it, put their picture on, and give it a title. And I create an event on Facebook, and I send you the link, and I send all the different people that link so that they can share it and promote it. And they're just promoting themselves. They're not really promoting me. They're
Mm-hmm.
promoting themselves because they're going to be there. They're going to be talking about this thing.
Right.
And I totally frame it as this is highlighting them.
It's almost like a mini summit. Like I put on this big summit, right? And I had 25 speakers over 3 days, and it's this big deal to host such a large online event. But if you just did little mini ones, like you said, and just invite a few people, it could be low key. You just have a certain topic, everybody's talking about it. And you build up some regular people that want to come see this, and each guest that you have come invites their people. Then you're exposing what you do to more people. I mean, it is magical. It's probably
It's free. It doesn't cost you
yeah.
anything.
And it
It's
doesn't have to be a
ridiculous.
big deal. It can be something simple that you just whip together. Do you think the magic is that it is in person, or do you think you can do these things online too?
If you do them online, it's harder
Mm-hmm.
because now you got to get into the digital marketing space, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit tougher.
Mm-hmm.
People are wanting to get out to things, um, and and people are more comfortable about it now.
Mm-hmm.
I still believe in hybrid, so this is where I say bring a tripod. You can get them on Amazon for like $15.
Mm-hmm.
Get a tripod for your cell phone, and stream it on whatever network. If you're more partial to LinkedIn, then go live or Instagram, then go live from Instagram. If you're more partial to Facebook, go live from Facebook. Hit the record button and stream the event. Please, dear God, don't do it. Don't not do that part. Like
Yeah.
stream it.
Yeah.
You've created content,
Right.
and you've created content for your panelists. And if nothing else, if behind the camera there's only 3 people there,
Mm-hmm.
then you've created content.
Right. Well, and so do you think the live portion is key? Don't record it, edit it, and then just post the recording. Just make it live.
Live is good. Getting that content on camera is good. You want the content. Most people aren't video editors, so if that's not your thing, then yeah, stream it live. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if if video editing is, and you can do any of the Canva videos. You've got Apple has their own Apple whatever, and it does video conversion. There's a lot of free video conversion stuff. Um, just capture that content because it's content. Don't
Yeah,
just sit
well,
in front of people
I
without
think the
recording.
best of both worlds is actually just to do it live. So you have something live. You can still download that video and piece it apart and make little reels and things like that that you want and just put it on your social media. So you constantly have live feeds of how you're bringing community together and you're highlighting these local business owners.
Yeah, yeah. The
It's
magic is
actually
in the
amazing.
invite. The magic's
Mhm.
in the invite. People will never forget that part. Uh, if if an audience shows up at all, then people will definitely not forget that part.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a great way to cultivate a community, and if you're breaking into that community, it's a great way to make a name for yourself.
I love it. Do you feel like so what I'm hearing is you really don't have to have the fear of that you're teaching something. You're just bringing these people together. If you do want to teach something about real estate too, then that's a bonus, but you're really just wanting to highlight these other local business owners and have them share something about their business. Or do you think it's good to have like a teaching component to the event also where people are giving tips on stuff?
So And this is why I call it that Jimmy Fallon effect. I couldn't tell you who's on his show this week, but I know Jimmy now.
Mm-hmm.
So what I know about Jimmy is that Jimmy brings those people. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when I do watch an episode, I don't remember Jimmy. I remember what his guest did that time that The Rock was on there, or the time that whatever, you know. But when I'm thinking about this week, I don't know who's on his show, but I know that Jimmy brings the goods, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the connector, and in real estate, don't you want to be the connector? Don't you want to
Mm-hmm.
be that person that people come to and says, hey, where do I find this? Where do I,
Mm-hmm.
you want to be top of mind for when they're ready to buy or sell.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
be the connector.
It's brilliant. And I think that the key is you don't want to be just the connector for transaction related things. You want to be top of mind all the time for everything home. And you might not be the expert for everything home, but by bringing all these experts together, then you're the connector for everything home, so that they're calling you. And I just think in a world where there's so many agents and everybody's saying the same thing, if you can be that person that you're the go-to person for everything, like I want to say healthy home, because people are now connecting this health and home together because lots of people are getting sick in their homes. There's so many toxic things creating a toxic soup. But just to learn, be educated on that, and to learn where can I go then to get my air tested, or who's a good water filtration place that I need to go look at, and what kind of HRV systems, is the air system in my house good? As a realtor, you might know some of that stuff, but so much better if you bring together, like you said, bring the experts there, then people can learn about that stuff from them. I love it. It's just brilliant.
Well, and here's the thing. So let's say that I study up on that person that's got an amazing HVAC system that is that I don't know, is all made out of recycled materials, and it purifies the air in some way that I don't know. And so
Hmm.
I can study up on it. I could go find it. I could go
Hmm.
study up on it. And then I could tell the three people that are watching my thing or listening to my thing, I could tell it to them. Now
Hmm.
I've got to be a marketer,
Hmm.
because now they're just listening to me.
Hmm.
And there's no network to leverage. And so now I've got to
Hmm.
pay to boost it, and I've got to try to get this thing that I studied up so hard on, and I learned about this cool product, and I recorded it, and I put it out there, and now I've got to try to get it in front of more eyeballs, because
Hmm.
pretty much only my mom and like 10 other people ever watch my stuff, you know? Uh, Now, what if I bring that person on?
Hmm.
Well, this is an opportunity for them to talk about themselves,
Hmm.
right? So inherently, this is content for them. And marketers have done a great job of conditioning that person that content is huge. And now it's not them talking about themselves. It's not me talking about myself. It's them talking about them on my network. And now we get a benefit from each other's network. And now my mom gets to hear about their solution, but it's from them. But now
Hmm.
their network gets to learn about me too.
I love
It's
it
the
because
it's the leveraging networks.
yes, it really is. And it takes the pressure off of you having to be the know-it-all. I think that, as an agent, you already need to know about transactions. You already need to know about liability and all that stuff. So you don't necessarily want to be taking on liability for things that are outside of real estate, but you want to have knowledge for that and be able to help people in a new way. So you really should be leveraging your network so that you're sticking to your zone of real estate, even though you're trying to combine this, wellness with it. I do have some, like, I had this agent who was saying that she was learning all about Reiki, which is really cool. So she was really wanting to share that. And she had this whole new spiritual side, but how can she still be a realtor and combine this? And she learned about raking homes and like the energy clearing to homes. And she thought, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So she started talking about all of this stuff. So then some of her real estate friends were like, okay, that's weird. And her clients thought, oh gosh, um, now she's into Reiki. So they forgot that she was a real estate agent, right? So she's been clarifying her message, and really now she's so much more direct about it. She's like, oh yeah, I just, Reiki homes. And so now people don't think it's weird. They're like, oh gosh, that's really actually cool. You do that. And she just explains it in a matter of fact way. And she still talks about real estate, but yet she has this added extra stuff and extra knowledge in her business so that it makes her stand out and be different.
Well, so let's launch that as a podcast, or let's launch that as a panel. Hey, this is Joseph, your local Denver Metro real estate agent. And today I've brought some amazing guests from all these different topics to introduce to you. They're local businesses, so I invite you to go visit them. If you need pointers on who to go find in these different topics, feel free to visit my website because I've listed everybody there. So if you're looking for these things in this topic, swing by the website. Can everybody go down and introduce yourself and share why your business is so unique? Now you're the connector. I don't need to be the expert. She became this expert and then it got confusing for people. What is she doing? I don't need to be the expert. I am the person that sends you to the experts. And that's how I stay focused, but I get to introduce all these people. This is going to be a stretch, but Google's that person. When you go to look for the best burger in town, do you go to a Food and Beverage Association's website for that?
No.
You go to Google. You Google it, right? As an agent, where do you want people going?
You want them to go to your website and like be the connector, right? I think that's why I don't think that agents should really, I mean, they're going to have their broker page on their broker website, but it's so generic. They're all the same. You really need to have your own page that talks about how you're different. And I think not just that, you need to be bringing all these local people together and highlighting them.
How many agents, name me one agent that when you go to their website is highlighting other businesses?
Yeah, nobody.
Right? But isn't that what you want? That gives you a lot more things to talk about. So if I'm going to send out an email once a week, just even once a week, what am I going to send them? Am I going to send people that I've got a house for sale or a house just sold? Nobody cares about that. Nobody in your email list cares about that. Now,
even market
if
updates,
I send them,
I think are kind of boring sometimes, unless you're actively looking.
It's only going to appeal to a small bit of people. But if I told you that this new restaurant opened up, that's kind of interesting. There's this new ice cream place down the street. That's kind of interesting. Hey, honey, you feeling like ice cream? Like that's something that might stick in my brain a little bit more, So don't you want to be that connector? You're going to have content that is not annoying. And now, especially if you're going to lean into a niche, right? So let's stick with the Reiki idea. So I could be the person, and I could be telling you Reiki, and now it's very confusing. Are you a real estate agent or are you Reiki? But I could be the agent that highlights all the different Reiki and different breath work and different naturopaths and different holistic medicine and well-being and even your garden tours and all kinds of different things. And now my emails are letting people know things that they might be interested in. And now I become that spot that they go to and they're looking forward to the email because they're interested in that new thing that, oh, shoot, hey, honey, there's a new ice cream shop and they're doing a garden tour this weekend. That's something that I might be. And who gave that to me? That my local real estate agent.
Right. And that's how you stay top of mind. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can even turn that into revenue. You could even, if you've built that up well enough, you could even charge to have people give their latest updates and sponsor your emails, and you could even monetize your network.
Yeah. So how did you earn $180,000 from just your podcast show? Is that what you did?
So I did screw this up. So after the success of my podcast, I was in New York with one of my sponsors, and he was like, "Hey Joe, so you only do one show a week. Have you ever thought about doing two?" And I was like, "Oh man, are you going to pay me double?" He was like, "Well, no." I was like, "Then why would I cut my profits in half?" You know? but it did get me thinking, and I shouldn't think too much. And I started producing shows,
Hmm.
and those shows were awesome. And Jennifer Farrell's Design Hot Seat was averaging 160,000 views a week. Um,
Wow.
the part that I got wrong was I started charging advertising,
Hmm.
and in reality, the people that paid me because I was hanging with like Macklemore or doing, you know, lip sync battles with the Property Brothers, or and I was giving them access to things that they didn't have access to prior.
Hmm.
Um, they weren't actually paying me for my views. What they were paying me for was my network. So that's
Hmm.
why on this, even on this podcast, as we talk about how agents can do this, it is not your views. It's
Hmm.
not. It's your network. So if you can
Hmm.
start hosting these events and start bringing and curating that community in your
Hmm.
local neighborhood, first of all, probably other people aren't doing that. So
Hmm.
you're ahead of everybody else. And if you can do that on a regular basis and your emails are going out and they're highlighting local businesses, well, then you can start to charge people for that. And so what those people are paying for isn't your views. They're paying because you're the only person cultivating that community. You're the
Hmm.
person giving access. So don't think of it in terms of what's your email list size or things like that. This is purely, hey, I'm cultivating this community. That's how you heard about me. So you can be a part of it too.
Wow, we've learned so much from you, and I think I haven't even touched on your business now. JoinIN Crowd. Can you tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that?
I mean, same sort of model. So, Join In Crowd is a digital business card. You can create as many free cards as you want. So I've got 10 different digital business cards. I even personally have only upgraded one of them. You can create as many free cards as you want. Upgrading is $1. I will tell you that there is me and 7 other people that pay the monthly dollar amount. Everybody else pays the $9.60 per year. Uh, it saves them money, and it's only $9.60. For that, they get a video banner.
Hmm.
They can see who's clicking on which parts of their card. Did Sarah, who I shared my card with, click on my Facebook account and my LinkedIn account and my Calendly? I can see what they're clicking on and when. So this is good to know when you're looking to follow up with a person. Maybe I
Hmm.
share my card with you and you do nothing. Not, not really a good person to follow up with. But if I see that you're clicking on things, I might want to follow up with you. Also, you can download all of your contacts. So as you're sharing your card, uh, as long as you type in their number or you type in their email. If you just share that through QR code, it doesn't work. But if you type in their phone number, you type in their email, that goes into a running CSV file, and you
Hmm.
can download all of your contacts.
What I love about your app, though, is that you aren't making me buy a special plastic card. You're not making me subscribe to this monthly thing that's several dollars, it's $1 if you want, or it's free. And it's so cool because it's just a QR code and your picture. So you literally just show that to somebody, they scan it, and then it immediately goes straight to their address book. They don't even have to have some of those digital calling cards. You have to have your own like app and you open it up, but yours goes straight into my iPhone's address book,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is
I don't
awesome.
try to. We know our niche, and our niche is my problem. Uh, uh, well, so we launched in February of 2021, uh, and and by June of 2021, I was looking at our user engagement. So when we launched, it was called JoinIN Crowd Digital Business Cards,
Hmm.
and um, by June of that year, we were looking at the user engagement. So when do you think people use our business cards the most?
um well, if you're at a convention or something for a business event, you'd use it then. Or whenever you're just with a lot of people, so weekends maybe, if they're out and about meeting people.
So our peak user times were Thursday through Saturday, 9 p.m. till 3 in the morning.
Oh. Yeah,
Who's
at the
using our
bars.
cards? Yeah, people at the
Yeah.
bars. So
Yeah.
you're out at a bar and you meet somebody, and you're like, "Oh my God, it was so great meeting you. Can I get your number?" And so now you're doing that weird thing with your cell phone where you're like, "Well, it's 949. Wait, what was it? Hold on, let me open up. Okay, what was it? Here, can you type it in? Can you do that
Yeah.
whole thing?" Uh, with JoinIN Crowd, and we added this feature. You just click on your phone, it brings up the QR code right on my screensaver. Uh, when you scan it, it gives you two options: download contact or send text message. So if you hit
Mm.
send text message, it just pops open your cell phone's text messaging. It already has my number in there. You type in a message, and you and I are already connected. Where it has nothing to do with the app. You're now off of our app. You're on your phone in your text messaging, and you've now made a friend. Um, Now a lot of the other platforms want to keep you on their platform.
Mhm.
So then somehow you've got to log in and all this stuff. I don't even care about that. The value that we bring is the connection that you make. So
Mhm.
people, we are now, I haven't checked it recently. I know that last time I checked, we were at over 800,000 members. Last year, we made $2.2 million
Oh my
um,
gosh.
off of a platform that cost us 10 grand to make.
Congratulations. That's incredible. And it's still, what blows my mind is that you had told me before that you don't even market this, and it's just that people are sharing it because you've made it so easy to share. It's really just like leveraging networks to the
Yeah,
max.
yeah. I mean, because really, tonight at a bar, somebody's going to share their contact, and they're not sharing a business card. In fact, that person probably was never going to get a business card for meeting people at a bar. That was never going
Mhm.
to happen.
Mhm.
But now they've got this digital card, and they can share their contact info, and they could create a free card that only has, maybe their first name. They don't want to share their
Mhm.
last name. So they can make the cards however they want, and they can share whatever info. They can switch over to a business card for tomorrow, but today
Mhm.
they're going to share only this information, and they did it for free. The secret is, on my end, each of our members cost me 7 thousandths of a cent per month. So 7,000 members cost me 1 penny.
Wow.
So for 7 thousandths of a cent, when you share your card, you're my marketer. So I spend
Mhm.
nothing in marketing, but every one of our members is my marketer because they're
Mhm.
marketing themselves. And it's the same principle that I use in this podcast of, you know, uh, as you invite people onto your podcast, or if you create that local event and you invite them on, they're your marketer too. They're
Mhm.
marketing themselves because they're going to be on this panel, and they're going to be talking about the subject that they love talking about, and they just became your marketer.
Right. It's so much better than Facebook ads for your listing, right? Like, way to spend your dollars hosting an event to help the community and help other business owners.
Yeah.
So
And if you
incredible.
can make a habit of that, you can do a
Hmm.
monthly event, then you're that person. Everybody quickly will know that you're the
Hmm.
person that does that thing.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Thank you so much, Joseph. So how do people get JoinIN Crowd for their phones? Where do they go?
Yeah. JoinInCrowd.com.
Okay.
It was, we literally had it in the name. Join the in crowd. JoinInCrowd.com.
Yeah, JoinIN Crowd. You definitely have to do it. There's no reason not to. It's free. Makes it so simple to share your information with other people. It takes like a second to get the QR code instead of, like you said, texting it in, getting a number. So I highly recommend it. And where
Also,
can they
hit the
learn? Can they learn about you, Joseph, on JoinIN Crowd, or is there a place they can go to learn more about you?
I'm highly Googleable.
Yeah.
Joseph Haecker, Haecker.
Hmm.
I'm highly Googleable. You'll see the pictures of the Property Brothers and all kinds of wonky stuff. Also, when you go to the Join In Crowd website, we have the podcast on there. It's the Join In Crowd Business Podcast. We also have the Join In Crowd Business Podcast, or the Join In Crowd Startup Ecosystems No Stupid Questions. So you can sign up to be on a podcast. We love featuring local businesses. So it's free. I always ask the same questions, so you don't have to be worried about what you're going to be asked. I always ask, can you share a little bit about you and your company? how'd you get started, what makes you unique, what's something people might not know, and how can people find out more. And then we send you a copy of it so that you can share that and people can learn about you. So
Great.
it's a feature podcast, and we don't charge for it.
Oh my gosh. And so real estate agents can do this too?
Anybody. That's how Curtis Angles, my fifth podcast guest, was on, and I'll tell you that converted to 383 new porta potty related businesses who signed up for JoinIN Crowd. So I highly encourage people to come on. Being on a podcast, they're short podcasts, and so it's very easy. You can do it on your cell phone, and then you've got that content, and people can learn about you, and it's a great way for people to learn about you. In fact, you should. I highly encourage people to try to get on as many podcasts as possible. Get in front of those podcasters' audiences.
Yes, and I know we talked about this on a different conversation, but it was about another way to leverage networks is for agents to have their own podcast. So maybe we need to have another episode about that where we can talk about it, because that's a good idea too.
Yeah. It's another. I've got 24 tech companies, a media broadcasting company. I run a nonprofit, and I'm COO of an international trade association.
Wow.
One of the things that I say is that you shouldn't have your own podcast. You shouldn't be recording, especially as an agent. You should not be spending your time as a podcaster, because it's like running a whole new business. You got to set up guests, you got to do the editing, you got to market it. The podcast that we do, you go in your closet with your cell phone and you record an intro and an outro, and we take care of the rest.
Yeah.
And you can invite people to be on, and so it's your own podcast, but you do none of the work.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's the next episode. We're gonna have to record it. You're gonna have to book another one with me so that we can do that, because that just blew my mind when we talked about that as well. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate you so much, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. And feel free, anybody want to reach out and book that podcast. It's super easy.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something new that will inspire you to think about your branding and how you can market yourself a little differently. If you enjoyed this episode, then you're going to love what I have for you, because you don't need to wait to go get extra certifications or to grow and expand your network to get started attracting those new leads right now. You can simply begin by talking about wellness real estate trends and what you've learned on this podcast with others. I mean, this is pretty interesting stuff that no one has heard about, and I have all the tools that can make it even easier for you. Wellness Real Estate Magazine is a brand new wellness lifestyle magazine, and it's the only magazine that brings health and home together. We educate readers on industry trends and how to create a healthier home environment, written by industry experts around the country. And we have 3 covers to choose from: Wellness RE, Healthy Home, and Wellness at Home, so you can easily find one that aligns with your unique brand and messaging. These magazines are the perfect done-for-you tools that help you not only stay top of mind, but they educate and engage your audience, which positions you as an industry expert. Differentiate yourself and grow your brand the easy way. Learn more at healthyhomemedia.com.